Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids and our loved ones. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I am Sean Laurie. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Before we start, like always, make sure you subscribe, like, share, tell a friend. I appreciate the support, of course. Also, too, I wanted to actually make sure I give a proud dad moment. Shout out to my boy, Chris Campbell. He wanted me to, share this as he's basically just got a raise at his job. And now he's going to be able to take his family on a trip that he's been planning for a while now. But now he can do it because of that. So shout out to you, Chris, and your family, of course. That's a beautiful thing, man. Now, with that being said, as you guys know, Valentine's is around the corner, right? That's the time, give gifts. Love is in the air, as they say, right? Some people like it, some people don't. For me, February is a busy time of the year for me, because I have a lot going on. Excuse me. Because of the fact that, even though I'm in another state, it's my mom's birthday, it's my lady's birthday, it's my daughter's birthday. Obviously, you have Valentine's, you have the Super Bowl, right? You have, what else? Actually, two of my sister's birthdays as well. Their birthdays in February. So February is very busy for me. And even though I typically don't celebrate Valentine's Day, me and my lady don't really celebrate like that, I do make sure that I do get something for my daughters, because at the end of the day, I want them to be spoiled. I want them to get used to being catered to, right? And I know for them it's a big deal, right? And so I want to make sure they're loved, and at the end of the day, I want them to know, like, hey, you know what? My dad's already gave me flowers before. My dad already gave me candy. My dad already showed me love, right? So whenever a dude comes across, they come across a dude or something like that, and he does that, they're not just like googly eyed and just like blinded by whatever he says, right? Now, like I said, Valentine's is obviously around the corner. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys today about basically unconditional love, right? Unconditional love, since this is the time of the year where love's supposed to be in the air, things like that, right? Unconditional love is very hard, because it requires us to love without expectations, right? And that's not an easy thing to do, right? Without any expectations, without any type of returns. It can be inconvenient at times. It can be painful. It can be undeserved, right? People naturally have limits, right, with their emotions, their personal wounds, their whatever they got going on, right? And so, but as a father, right, we should have with our kids unconditional love. And for me, I realized, it took me being a father to really realize what unconditional love looks like. Because let's be honest, all of our relationships, there is some type of thing they're doing for us or giving to us. But when you have a child, right, that's the only time your child can't love you back, right? Your child, when they're born, they're crying, they're needy, right? They're babies, they're kids, they're needy. So they're constantly wanting your attention, and you're loving them no matter what, right? They might pee on you, poop on you, throw food at you, right? And you're still showing them love. You're still just caring for them. You want the best for them, right? That's unconditional love. But it made me think of, like, why for us as men or even fathers, right? Because even though that's how it should be, where we should have that unconditional love for our kids, it still can be difficult, right? So many times, as not all of us, but some of us as fathers, we're not even really trying to deal with the child until they're old enough. We're just like, we'll let the mom handle it, because at the end of the day, like, you know what, the baby just wants to be on the mom's breast all the time anyway for milk and change the diapers. You know what, I'm asleep and you change the diapers, or whatever the case is. I can't do much with this child right now, so once the child gets older, then that's when I'm going to be more involved, right? Because for whatever reason, maybe it's more so because you get something out of it where you're like, hey, you know what, I can teach my child this and show them the things that I wasn't taught, or I can help them be that football player, or that get good grades, or whatever the case is, right? So that can be a difficult thing at times, where or we don't know how to show them that love, so for whatever reason we might not be able to express ourselves to our kids or to our spouse, right? It can be very difficult, and so I want to like talk about those things on why why those reasons can be very challenging for us as men, as fathers, right? And I would say some of that is ego, right? Some of that is ego and expectations, right? Which I kind of mentioned a little bit, but we often expect love to be reciprocated, right? Or for others to meet certain standards that we, and when they don't, disappointment can make the love for them feel conditional, right? Disappointment can make the love feel conditional. So the expectations we have, and so I've been guilty of that, right? I've been guilty of with my parents, right? My parents aren't perfect, I'm not perfect, but what I deem right, because in our eyes our parents can't do no wrong, especially when we're young, right? But then when our parents don't do things that we feel like they should do, all of a sudden we're hurt by it, right? And our love isn't as strong or like it should be, right? And or even with our friends, right? Because I'm the type of person, if you rocking with me, I'm rocking with you, right? I'm gonna be your biggest supporter, but I'm also gonna be the person that's gonna also hold you accountable as well, right? And so but I had to learn to stop putting certain expectations on people and understand, especially with friends, right? Some friends are seasonal, right? And being okay with that, and understanding that, my friends are going to make mistakes, just like my family's going to make mistakes, but I have to love them anyway, right? Now, that doesn't mean that we let them, take advantage of us or anything like that. But that just means like not putting unrealistic expectations and understanding who you're talking to, who you're working with, right? I've known people that, I've helped them out. I've shown them different things that, I had to learn myself, right? And then when I've asked those same friends for help in a situation or to show me something, right, they make it seem like it's inconvenient for them, right? Or they switch up on me, right? Or something like that. So that's something that was difficult for me, especially when I was younger. But I've learned, not to let my ego dictate my love for someone, right? And again, you can't have everyone on the same level, right? So, your mom, your dad, whatever, you're going to have them on a certain level. And then, your neighbor or, your coworker, right? Like, you can have love for them, like, man, I'm wishing the best for them, so, but you're not going to have them on the same pedestal, obviously, as your mom or dad, or even your cousin, right? You might have a cousin, you might have an uncle, you might have an aunt, you might have someone, in your life that you love them, and you have certain expectations for them, and you have to kind of check yourself and be like, man, okay, am I setting myself up for failure in a sense, to be disappointed because I'm thinking the way I'm thinking and I'm putting it on them? Instead of, hey, that's them and that's what they want to do, okay, right? And so that's one of the things I feel like that is makes it difficult at times for us as men is that, or even even our egos, right? Our egos, as far as like, how could they not want to do this for me, or right? But again, we're putting a label, we're putting expectations on them. But again, we get caught up in ourselves, like, this is how it's always been for me, this is what they should be doing for me, right? Instead of understanding, no, like, if our parents at one point did certain things for us, but now they're like, hey, you got to grow up and you need to figure this out yourself, right? We shouldn't be taking it as, wait, what? Like, this is a shot at my ego. What you mean you can't help me? Like, oh, so you're gonna betray me? What do you mean? Right? And that's actually a good segue to the second thing I feel like, and that is being hurt, or some type of being betrayed, right? When someone hurts us, it's hard to continue loving, right, without resentment or self-protection kicking in, right? Because naturally, especially as men, right, that's why we're not going to open up to everybody, because we've been hurt a lot of times. Just being honest with you ladies, if you're listening, a lot of times it's the women that have hurt us, right? We've been hurt by men too, our fathers, right, that either weren't there or wasn't consistent, or were part-time fathers, right? We've been hurt by them, or men that we looked up to, right, or people that we looked up as maybe our best friends, or one of the homies that would never do, like, almost like a brother type of situation, right? We've been hurt by that, and we're like, man, I'm never going to do that again, right? I'm never going to open myself up like that. But the best way for you to be able to love someone is to be able to trust them, but understanding what information that you're giving to them, right? Again, there has to be certain levels, there has to be certain arrangements, and how you, I guess, what's the word I could put it, as far as the seating that you have, or the pecking order you have in your life for your loved ones, right? As much as you may love, I don't know, your girlfriend, your baby mama, right, or something like that. You may love, your child a little bit more, right? You may love your mom a little bit more. You may love your dad a little bit more, right? Or whatever the pecking order is, right? But then it gets deeper, as far as, okay, let's say you're married, right? And it's like, dang, I'm still putting my mom in front of my wife, right? Like, why am I doing that, right? Like, oh, it's because, growing up, I was hurt by these women, and my mother was the only one that always stayed there by me. She was the only one that was always going to support me. You may have the woman of your kids, your wife, she been rocking with you, she supports you and everything, but for whatever reason, you still have your guard up, as far as, nah, but she's going to betray me. My mom wouldn't, but she would, right? Instead of, okay, let me dive into this. Man, let me actually get some therapy into, like, why am I thinking like that? This woman hasn't did nothing to me, but yet I'm punishing her for what all these other women in the past did, right? Or, man, you know what? This dude, he's cool peoples. You know what? He's really genuine. He's really for me. He really supports me. But yet, man, I'm gonna let him in. And even though I'm in a place where I actually need that brotherhood, right? I need that brotherhood where I can really talk to someone and he gets me. But no, I'm not gonna do that, because you know what? At the end of the day, all the men that I've came across in my life, they've all did me dirty, or they all were selfish, or they all were, right? So we start having certain conditions on how we're going to treat them too, right? And they're like, man, no, I'm really looking out for you. And they're showing love, like real genuine love to you, like, hey, bro, you know what? I know you're looking for a job, and I have so-and-so, that can hook you up with a job, right? But our ego gets in the way, right? Or that wall, or that hurt. Nah, you know what? He's just saying that just to give me, or he's gonna give me the job, but he's gonna hold it over my head, right? And it's because of something you went through in the past. So just being conscious of those things. So I would say that's the second thing. The third thing would be fear, right? fear, and insecurity, right? As far as why we struggle with that is, people may fear being taken advantage of, which I was basically just using that example, right, of really being open up. And as crazy as it might sound, that fear and insecurity can also take place in us as a parent, as a father, right? Oh man, you know what? Nah, if I can't really love them like I do, because if I do, I might mess them up. What if my child screwed up because of me? I was a screw up, so I can't love them like that. That's not the best way. I turned out fine when my dad or my mom wasn't there, didn't do this. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the same thing, right? Or you know what? Nah, like when my kid gets older, they're just gonna leave me anyway. So what's the point? I'm gonna keep a distance, right? Or oh, this is, my child. I have I don't know, let's say you have kids and one of the kids is through your relationship, right? And you're fearful of, oh, you know what, I'm not their real dad. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna make sure I put my wall up. I'm gonna make sure that I don't get too close to them. Oh, they already have a dad. Even though you're still another father figure in their household, right? You're now taking on that stepfather role, or I don't even like to call it stepfather, bonus father, or just father in general, right? You're taking on that role, but now you're like, nah, I can't get too close, because at the end of the day, you know what? That's not my child, or what they judge me, right? Or what they're looking at me different, or what if when they go back to their dad's house, right, or their mom's house, they're saying these things about me, right? And now we're operating in fear. Now we're operating in insecurity, and that's not fair to you. That's not fair to the child. So that's something we have to be mindful for when we're talking about real unconditional love. Because when you really think about it, real unconditional love is so hard, right? That means when we do it with our kids, but like a lot of times, or even our parents, right? When our parents screwed us up, right? They might have, I don't know, let's say they this happens a lot, especially in the black community, unfortunately, right? Is, hey, I'm a put my kid's name under this for my credit, right? And they mess up their kid's credit, and their kid was only, their kid had bad credit at the age of 10 already, right? So it's things like that, right? That can make it difficult for us to love our parents or something, but we still do, right? We still, even when they mess up like that, even when our friends, right, or our wives, our husbands, whatever, like when they mess up, we still love them, right? We still show them that love. We still show them that grace. But that's why unconditional love is so difficult, because that means when you're just annoyed as heck, when they keep asking you questions, when they want your attention and you don't want to be bothered, you still have to love them, right? You still have to show them that love, which is so difficult at times, right? Now number four would be boundaries and self-respect, right? While unconditional love is a beautiful thing, like when you can find unconditional love, and when you have unconditional love, it's such a beautiful thing, right? There's no limit to what you will do for that person, right? But it doesn't mean you tolerate toxic behavior, right? Loving unconditional while maintaining healthy boundaries, right, is needed, right? Because if you're giving unconditional love, but you're giving it to the wrong person, that's not really helping you. Matter of fact, I would argue it's doing more damage, because then when you do come across someone that does deserve that unconditional love from you, you don't know how to give it to them, because you was taken advantage of for so long, giving it to someone that didn't deserve it, right? Again, even with family, I know that sounds crazy, but even with family, right? Love them, but understanding, and again, you could have that unconditional love for them, but not let them constantly make you feel bad, right? Where it's like, oh man, you know what? You didn't let me borrow money. Like, I have a family to take care of. I can't keep giving you money, right? Oh man, you didn't do what I wanted you to do. Well, yes, you're right. I have a household that I have to take care of. My kids come first. My wife comes first, right? This is things I need to take care of first. No, but you didn't, right? Just all these different things that can be difficult at times, especially when it's a parent, right? Especially if it's your dad, it's your mom, right? Because at the end of the day, we was taught to respect, or most of us, I should say, was taught to respect our parents, right? And love them, right? But then when they're taking advantage of it, right? And it's like, dang, okay, how do I still love them, but make sure they understand those boundaries? And you got to have tough conversations, right? With family, friends, right? You got to have, man, that's been my best friend, since I was in third grade or whatever the case is. Yeah, but, and even though you love them and they love you, are they the same person, right? Are they the same person? Because over time, we all change. Either, I don't want to say for the worse or better or worse, but we do change. And when they change, the things that you guys was into, you might not be into no more, right? You was best friends with them since they was in third grade, but now, they're running the streets doing their thing. You're focused on your family, right? But yet they keep trying to put you in situations that's going to jeopardize your family. Then you got to start reassessing, man, you know what? I got to put boundaries in on this. Hey, man, I like hanging out with you. I like chilling with you, but I can't hang out with you and hang out with you at the club all night because, my kids expect me to be home, right? And not feeling bad about that, right? Not feeling bad, dang, oh, man, you changed. What? How could you? Why are you acting like this? It's like, well, yes, I did change. I changed because of the stage I'm in my life. I can no longer operate like that anymore, right? And being okay with those tough conversations. Like I said, it's not easy having those tough conversations whatsoever. No matter, especially when you really love them, right? It's not easy at all because they're gonna be mad, they're gonna be hurt. But if you don't, right, that's where what I talked about a little bit earlier, right? That's where that resentment kicks in, because now you're like, dang, I'm feeling like I'm not being respected, or I'm feeling like, I'm lowering my standards, or I'm lowering what I tolerate because at the end of the day, I'm trying to please this person. And yes, I love this person, but this is not what I want to do. This is not what I'm comfortable with. So that's something I would say to be aware of. And then the fifth thing would be human nature. Human nature, we're naturally, let's just be honest, we're naturally selfish people. We're naturally what interests us. Doesn't matter what it is. That's just the facts. Like, we're selfish people, even as parents, right? Oh man, you know what? I want my child to do good in school. Hopefully you want your child to do good in school because you want them to be successful, to be good in whatever it is. But there's also times where, again, the selfish nature in us, man, I want my kid to be good in school, or be good in this sport, or to be good in this activity because I want to make sure that I can brag about them so I can get the praise. So yeah, they're going to look at my child, but they're going to look at me like, yeah, I'm that guy, right? And not saying we shouldn't be proud of our kids. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. But it's like, okay, do you have your child practicing play the piano, I don't know, 5 days a week because, that's what you did and you just didn't go as far as you wanted to? Or is it something that your child really enjoys, right? Does your child really enjoy baseball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever it is? Do they really enjoy that? Or is it something that you want to make sure you pushed onto them to do because you're like, man, you know what? If I didn't get in trouble in school, I would have went this far. I was going to go D1. I was going to make it to the pro. I was supposed to make varsity, right? So is it you're trying to get the glory out of it? Are you looking at your child as, this is my second chance, right? Or are you, hey, I'm really invested in my child and what's best for my child. My child just happens to really like soccer. My child really just happens to like playing the piano or doing football or whatever the sport is or activity, right? My child really loves to do it, and I'm just pouring into my child and making sure that they can be the best in whatever it is they want to do, right? But we have to be conscious of that because, again, it's something that's so easy for us, and we're putting a condition on it, and we don't realize it. So then all of a sudden our child stops playing football, right? Now all of a sudden we don't want to deal with them. I mean, that's a real thing, right? My child doesn't play football no more, so I don't really care about how they're doing no more. Like, now they're older, they're 20 years old, I'm not gonna check on them for what? Like, they're not doing football. Oh, they're not doing. I thought they were gonna make it with music. They're not doing it with music no more. I'm not gonna check on them for what? Now again, we put a condition on the love, and we didn't realize it because by nature we're selfish, right? By nature we're selfish. So now we all of a sudden are looking at our kid differently because they didn't do what we think they should have did, not what they really wanted to do or not what was best for them, but what we felt that they should have did. And now again, that's where that human nature, that's where that selfishness comes in. So we just gotta be conscious of that. It's possible, it's possible to strive for unconditional love, but it takes, patience. It takes emotional maturity, emotional intelligence for sure, and sometimes a deep sense of purpose as far as why are you really doing this, right? What is the goal for this? And understanding it's going to also take work, right? It's going to take work. That's why, you see people when they're married for, 30 years, 40 years, something like that, right? They always say it takes work, right? Because to be married that long, right? Like, you have to have real unconditional love, and you have to also constantly changing and evolving and understanding certain situations. So that, again, same thing as a parent, right? We have to constantly evolve and understand what my child needs. I have 4 of them. So what my 6-year-old needs from me, right now is going to be much different than my 19-year-old, right? And understanding that I have to change and adapt. And guess what? When my 19-year-old is 30, right? Or my 6-year-old is 18 or whatever the case is, right? The love that I need to show, the unconditional love, the way that I express certain things has to change, right? I can't continue with the same thought process. I can't continue with the same expectations that I have, right? My son right now, my 10-year-old, loves basketball, right? I'm glad he likes basketball. I ask him I tell him all the time, every time, you don't have to do this, right? Do you want to practice? If you don't, fine. But if you do, we're going to put in the work, right? You're not going to slack off. You're going to put in the work. But I don't have the expectations he has to play. I tell him all the time, I do not care. You could tell me tomorrow you do not want to play basketball ever again. That is perfectly fine for me. You don't have to play if you don't want to play. You're going to do something because I want you to be productive, but you don't have to play. That doesn't define my love for you, right? And so making sure that as parents, we're making sure our kids understand what you necessarily do doesn't define my love because it's unconditional. Is there going to be times when I'm frustrated with you? Is there going to be times where I'm a little disappointed? Yes. But that does not change the way I feel. That does not change how much I love you. That does not change how much I adore you, how proud I am of you, right? And so I make sure for me that I emphasize that for my kids to let them know that. But again, there are going to be different stages in their life because, again, my son might tell me all of a sudden he likes soccer, right? Or whatever the case is. And so embracing that, being into that, because that's another thing too, just to go into the sports a little bit, right? It's like, hey, my kid's doing football. Okay, I'm all in. Then my kid decides, hey, you know what? Actually, I want to be part of the spelling bee team, like the debate team. Like, that's what I really enjoy. Oh, man, I ain't going to go to that. All of a sudden, you're busy, right? All of a sudden, it's, hey, I got this meeting over here. I got to work overtime over here. But when, your child was doing football or whatever sport that you're into, you made sure you went to every game. You made sure you was at every single event. They're selling candies to fundraise, right? You're making sure you're telling everybody about it, right? But then when it's something, they're doing something you quote unquote don't like, now your stance changes. So just being mindful of that, man, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because that's something that was on my heart, was just, unconditional love. Again, it's not easy. It's constant work, because and sometimes you have to love people from a distance, right? Because you might love them very much so, but then the second you don't do what they think you should do, right? All of a sudden their love changes, right? It might not be you, it's them. Their love changed for you, which is unfortunate, but just because they want to be that way doesn't mean we have to be the same, right? And so, yeah, y'all, I want to just definitely share that with you guys. Man, make sure you like, right? Make sure you subscribe. I thank you guys. I thank you guys for the support, the wonderful messages I've been getting for sure. Appreciate the guests as well that's been hopping on with me. And remember, you don't have to be perfect, but you always